But I do think I'm very lucky because I had that first YouTube channel was very much a learning curve for me.
Hello, I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and you are watching Tom Talks Rubbish. It's the place for interviews, wrestling reviews, and so much more.
You subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish. I highly recommend you subscribe here first.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Talks Rubbish, and stand back with another interview. This time, I'm joined by Karen from Karen Watches Wrestling. So welcome to the show, Karen.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, as I was asking you off camera, if we take this back, where does your wrestling fandom begin?
Oh man, it begins way back actually when I was around, I would say 5 years old. So I don't remember the exact moment. I don't know how it happened. I just remember that my brothers and my dad watched wrestling, and somehow I saw Andre the Giant. I do remember seeing pictures, like they went to see him at a WWF show, and that intrigued me. And then I don't know how I started watching, but I just remember, okay, all of a sudden I'm watching. And it was like, that big era of WWF when it was Randy Macho Man Savage and Miss Elizabeth, who I loved, and Hulk Hogan. So I fell in love with wrestling that way. And yeah, I've come across so many characters as a child that, have impacted me, and I didn't realize they did. Like, I like to bring up Bull Nakano, and I remember seeing her when she debuted in WWF as a kid. And for me, I grew up, struggling with my weight. I was a chubby kid. Seeing people like me on TV at that time in the 90s didn't happen, or they were treated as a joke. And here was this badass woman coming on TV, and I went, I love her. I want to be like her. So it started when I was very young, and I started with WWF, and then at some point I started watching WCW. And I'm one of those people that likes to say I like WCW more.
Okay, why?
I will admit that.
As someone that
can't
didn't watch
help it.
WCW, I am curious.
Really? I couldn't, it's one of those things where I couldn't tell you how it happened, but I remember Sting. And I guess I do love those larger than life characters. And also it was when he was blonde Sting, like Surfer Sting, and he had the face makeup. Like, he was really cute. And he was really cool. So I got into that way. And then I started noticing, these guys that I would see in WWF started showing up in WCW. And we started going towards the Attitude Era, the late 90s. And that just wasn't my jam, especially, being insecure me and the way that women were portrayed during that time. So
I was just going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so it wasn't my scene. I just didn't feel comfortable, and I kept, gravitating towards WCW. And I remember during the Monday Night Wars, I was that kid that would switch back and forth between WCW and Raw, but I would watch WCW more. Like, it was like, okay, commercial for WCW. What's happening on Raw? Okay, got to go back. So yeah, my allegiance was definitely more so with WCW. Like, with WWF turning into WWE, I was watching it, but then there were periods of time in my life where I just stopped, either because it just wasn't appealing to me or I didn't have access to a TV. Okay. So that happened. And it's like, okay, there's probably this period in the 2000s where I had no idea what was going on. So if you ask me about the CM Punk era, I have no idea. I wasn't around for it. And I feel so bad about that. And when I came back, it was at the end of CM Punk. And I remember being like, who's this dude? He's really cool. I like him. I like his vibe. And then boom, he was gone. I was like, no.
So how do you feel now then that obviously he's back in wrestling in quite a big capacity?
He is. And for me, it makes me so happy because I missed out on so much of his career. And just seeing the tail end of it, where he became very unhappy, very critical, and he had, those injuries that weren't treated properly. For me, it's nice to see the way he has evolved, whether you agree with him or not. He was able to go back to a place where he like rediscovered his love for wrestling and he was able to enjoy himself. And that's what my journey has ended up being, honestly, because as a fan watching wrestling, I'm one of those people that for like most of my life, I didn't know about the indies. I wasn't watching ROH. I knew about ECW back in the day, but I was too young to watch or I had no idea how to watch. So all I knew was WWE, WCW. And the longer I stuck with WWE, my love just started to wane. There were
Yeah.
wrestlers that I really liked, but then more and more I went, I'm just watching this out of habit. I'm not happy. So I relate to him.
That's really cool that you relate to him on such a level. So what
Yeah.
was the moment that you were finally like, okay, I assume we've cut the cord with WWE by the sound of it.
I
but
finally, if I have the energy, I'll watch a big pay-per-view. I'm not going to be able to watch WrestleMania because I'm going back to work after being on leave for a couple of months. But I watched the Rumble, and for me, it's like I have no idea what's going on, but
I
I'm
think
bored.
we squeezed this in like last week of your leave, correct?
Yes, yes. We managed to find a way. But it actually started in 2018. I think that was the significant turning point where I was able to finally accept that I didn't have to keep watching WWE if I didn't want to, if I wasn't happy. And it was around that time a friend of mine kept talking about New Japan and she was in it, she was into it, I should say, and she had watched it, but she wasn't fully immersed yet. So it was like we were diving in together, but she knew more than me. And I like to tell people this because it's true, but it was Hiromu Takahashi. That's how she lured me in.
Wow.
Well, actually, first, she lured me in with G1 Climax 27. So I saw Naito and Kenny Omega, and I went, what is this? Oh my God. Like I remember thinking, like, who is that man with the mullet? I am obsessed. Now I love him. Now I love
I like
Naito.
that.
And yeah, but the thing was, I was like, oh, this is great. This is really cool. I'm into it. But then I didn't pursue it further. And then she just, kept, harping on me. And she's like, no, man, you're going to really love New Japan. You should watch. Look at this guy. You love him. You're a theater person, Hiromu. And she got me. And finally, I dived in. I would say around, unfortunately, it was just after Hiromu had the neck injury. So in July 2018, I finally took that plunge. Yeah, I know it sucked. I was like, oh man, I feel like I jinxed him. I know that's not true. I know I didn't have anything to do with that, but it was like, oh, this is bittersweet. But I'm very thankful that he was the reason I started watching, and a whole new world opened up,
Mhm.
and it was amazing. It felt like the wrestling I watched when I was a kid with WWE back in the WWF days. So I was into it. And from there, yeah, I stuck by it.
Yeah.
WWE, I was like, all right, keep less and less and less.
So do you remember the moment in 2018 with WWE that you were like, okay, I can't do this no more?
No, because that's the thing. I don't remember things. Like, it just doesn't stick in my head. If you told me an event, then I'll probably like have my memory jog and go, oh, okay, I do. How did I feel about that? I probably had some feeling towards it. But so much of WWE, it blurs because they move so fast and nothing is truly consistent. That makes it like their storylines, it's like patching and piecing things together to supposedly create a storyline, but it's really like, no, we're going literally week by week making something.
Someone
And I like, yeah.
put it best the other day when they were talking about, obviously, you know about the MASH releases, correct?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So like someone put it best when it was like when they didn't explain why Aleister Black kicked Big E and then vanished.
Ah,
Like,
yeah.
that is just not storytelling.
It's a very soap opera thing to do.
Yeah.
Where characters just magically disappear and then you go, soap opera digest, what happened?
I like that.
Yep. Sorry, no, like I don't want to make you jump from that.
That is
But
brilliant.
it's true. Hey, once in a blue moon, I have a singer.
That was brilliant. So when does Karen Watches Wrestling come into your life?
That came in. So the official story of how this all came about. I've been on YouTube since 2015. Okay. I got sucked into the YouTube world and I wanted to create something. I didn't know what. So my journey was, I don't know what I'm doing, but I really love wrestling, but I don't know how to make content around wrestling. And this was before I knew that wrestling YouTube channels were a thing. I had no idea. So I would just make whatever, like comedy bits, but I would talk about like my struggles with weight, but then I would sprinkle in videos about wrestling here and there. So I confused the hell out of my audience. They're like, what are you?
My channel was like that in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think you all are though. Until you find your identity, you all are. Like,
yeah. It's a journey. And especially being on YouTube in 2015. So I got to see like a significant change in content on that platform. And I realized, and it was a lot of pressure too, where you go, oh man, everybody has to find a niche. You got to find something. But then you wanted to be like Jenna Marbles and go against the grain. You know, sometimes you could be successful doing whatever you want because you want to be happy, but you can't fight the algorithm, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah. So I struggle with that. I found a way to change my content into something, but I was still unhappy. And around late 2017, I got to a point where I said, I don't want to really make these videos because I wasn't happy with what I'm making, but I enjoy editing. So I know somebody I used to work with who works for BET in their production company. And I asked him, I was like, how do I get into like doing editing? Because I know, I'm on the low end. I didn't go to school for this. And he said, Karen, I'm just going to stop you because I don't want to hear what you have to say. What you should do is create a wrestling YouTube channel. And I'm going, no, I can't do that. No, because my mind right away went to WWE. And that intimidated me because I'm like, I don't have the expertise for WWE. I don't know what to do. Like I put myself into a box right away. Yeah. So yeah, I dismissed him. I was like, thanks for the advice / not advice. But it stuck in my mind because he knew me well enough that he did have a point. Like he knew about my YouTube channel prior. So he knew where my passion lied. But I didn't know what to do about it. And then here I am coming into New Japan 2018, watching along. And then we got the pandemic happening. And through those few years, I kept thinking about the idea of a YouTube channel, but then I would sit on it because I didn't know what to do with it. So like before the pandemic really hit, I got an idea where I went, okay, I'm really into watching New Japan and I'm following these people on Twitter where they're talking about other promotions and they're making me curious. So this took like about a year to build up to when I started my channel, where I thought about, okay, I want to do wrestling, but what type of channel do I want to do? And slowly over time, I developed the idea, oh, why don't I be that person that's like, I'm learning about wrestling. And also I know reacting to videos was big on YouTube, so I could apply that in as well. Yeah. I could, react to old wrestling matches that I never seen before. So at that time, like I learned about Choco Pro and I thought that was the great way to dive in because that was brand new to me. And it really reignited something into me that I didn't realize was missing, because even though I started watching New Japan, there was a point where I went, oh, I'm losing that passion. I don't want to lose that passion again.
Was that because of the pandemic?
It wasn't. Yeah, I would say so, because I started my channel in November 2020. So I would say it was Let's be
You legit
honest.
started a month after me. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah.
When I talked to Church of Joshi, they said that they were a pandemic channel too. Go
Yeah,
us.
I was. I was literally I'm not gonna make this about me. I do apologize. Like
I don't care.
I was like at home because of my medical conditions with the pandemic, and it was like, I need something to do. This is fun.
Because I don't know, we all have different situations. And for me, I lost my job. I have been working on Broadway, and Broadway shut down.
Oh, yeah.
And we were told, no, we're going to be back in a few months. And that didn't happen. And I'm stuck in this apartment in New York City with 2 other people who were working from home. And it's not a spacious apartment if you know anything about New York City apartments. Yeah. So my mental health deteriorated. And I would say that the pandemic motivated me even more to take the idea of starting a wrestling channel seriously. That like Choco Pro was like that spark for me to say, this, I can do this. Like, this is the idea that I have. I can make it work, which is why my first video has to do with Choco Pro. And that was, November 2020.
Everyone talks about how if you look at too many YouTube comments and stuff like that, that your mental health can really deteriorate. So how have you, first of all, this is like a 3-pronged question. How is your mental health now that you've been on YouTube for a while, and possibly it can get bad with comments and stuff? And then how has YouTube maybe helped your mental health in some ways?
I've had quite the interesting journey when it's come to mental health in YouTube, because I've fallen down the traps. Yeah. I would say right now, funny enough, we were getting a lot of emergency notifications on our phones today. So if you heard that, I apologize.
It's cool.
Right now, I'm definitely in a place where I'm questioning everything. I feel like everything comes in ebbs and flows, like it's a cycle, and it's more so because of Twitter. But to focus on YouTube, when I first started out with my other channel, I, became fixated on the numbers and other channels growing, but mine didn't, because that other channel did not grow for the life of me. I could not make it grow. And so I got, upset with that. And then with the comments, and I remember there was one video that actually happened to become viral because it was an Ancestry DNA video. And that was the first time I really experienced nasty comments from YouTube / the internet. And that was really hard, because my immediate reaction was to be defensive and want to comment back. It really took a toll on me. Yeah, because it's like, not that many people comment on my videos, but the people who do are regulars. And then all of a sudden, these strangers come in, and that was a struggle, because I would become fixated on those comments. And a friend of mine, he is a voice actor, and I've known him for quite some time because we always talk about being in the acting business. And he said, you just have to ignore them. I know it's hard, but you don't know who they are on the other side. You can make the choice to just not pay attention, dismiss it. And I had to train myself to do that. It is very, very, very hard. But I got to a point where I was able to ignore the negative comments, but once in a while, it can still creep in. So it's been quite the journey on this wrestling channel, because I will get some critical / negative comments, and that urge wants to come out of me, because some of those comments, I don't think they understand what my channel is. So naturally I want to get defensive about it. So every day it's a struggle. So what I've had to do was just like, you get your notifications of comments and just like scroll. If the second I see something that I don't like, scroll past. But it's a process. What was the other part of your question?
No.
I rambled.
No, it's totally cool. Like, I'm learning to shut up and let my guests sort of ramble. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
when they
okay.
want a monologue. Do you know what I mean?
Monologue, yes.
So
I know
it's
all
like,
about monologue.
so it's like, yeah, I'm good. But the other part was like, how has YouTube maybe helped your mental health?
Okay. So going way back to when I talked about like mental health, there's a lot of insecurity that's now popping up with my channel, but it's more so derived from Twitter.
Yeah.
So what I find, and it's very strange, like I'll have a lot of doubt and insecurity with my channel, but when I just focus on it and like ignore any other social media, like it's changed me for the better, even if I get, criticism or harsh comments. There's something about the community that has shown up and has been supportive and positive that has really helped me to continue doing what I'm doing, as well as what's the right word? What am I looking for? It's helped grow my confidence,
Yeah.
because I'm doing things that I've never done before or was afraid to do, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
live
totally.
streaming, that's, oh my God. If you look at my first live streams, hot mess. Like I said that I am the arts and crafts of live streams.
Yeah.
I use the most basic equipment. I'm not fancy and it's a struggle. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I've learned along the way, and the people who have watched, they don't care. They're just like,
No.
hey, we're happy to be here.
Me and my my interviewer mentor and I have talked about this a lot. Like I have I hope my parents don't watch this bit because they bought me this microphone, but I have probably, even they admit, like a cheap microphone, a cheapish laptop, and I've just learned that like I enjoy making content. Eventually the content will improve when you can get some money and stuff like that. But for now, I'm just happy talking to cool people like yourself. And do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's how like most of my journey has been on YouTube. I've been thankful. It's really weird when you think about it, like the professionals, because I know the professionals, especially voiceover artists, because they know the setup, they know what to do.
Yeah.
And they say to me, they're like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. There are really popular YouTubers out there who have videos where they shoot on their iPhone, but maybe it's like an iPhone 6 and the quality is not that great. As long as they can hear you, it's okay. Because the trap that a lot of people fall into is they think they need all the fancy equipment. They think they need the expensive microphone and all the lighting. And you don't. You can make do with what you have. And it may take time to realize that, because it is easy to fall into those traps.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, man, if people enjoy what you're doing, they'll come. It doesn't matter how it looks. As long as they can hear you, you're good.
So what keeps you passionate in wrestling at the minute? And what is your consumption of wrestling at the moment? Whether that be for your channel or just like, okay, this is for fun.
I am at a point where I am actually trying to navigate the question you just asked, because it's really fun to learn about these different promotions and these different wrestlers. So that has kept me passionate. But there is also a point where I've started to feel overwhelmed because there's so much out there. And then I have to retain this information. And then I'm creating this content. But, I don't know if you have this same thought. It seems like in the world of wrestling, when it comes to content creators, more people are writers than YouTubers. Yeah. So to me, it's easier for somebody to write an article or, have an interview that they write out. When I try to make a video, the type of content that I do, it's not just, hey, I'm talking to the camera, blah, blah, blah. Like I just go above and beyond with the editing to the point where it takes me a while to create. And then I feel like, oh no, I'm behind everybody else because it's taken me so long to create this content. And it makes me feel defeated. But yeah, so I'm having the struggle with, can I just, enjoy what I'm watching, or do I constantly feel like, oh, whatever's going on here, I have to make a video about it. Do you,
No,
you know what I
I
mean?
think that's just to give you a little bit of advice, which I am in no way qualified for. Like, because I have the same struggles. It's like, to be good content creators, I feel like you have to be passionate about the content you create
Yes.
almost.
Oh, yeah, because people can tell otherwise.
Yeah. So it's like, still watch the wrestling that you're passionate about. Try and switch off from video making mode. But I
Yeah.
get totally where you're coming from, because it's like, every time I watch a content creator now, I'm like, where's an email? Send them an email to see if they'll come on as a guest.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
sure. Yeah,
So
exactly.
I know the struggles, definitely.
I hate it, but at least it's keeping me strangely motivated, but I don't want to burn out. So I'm trying to navigate that as well, to not get to the point of burnout. I've felt it a few times where I'm like, oh, okay. And that's why, like, there may be some inconsistency. And a few people have known, they're like, when are you going to make a video? It's been a few weeks. But yeah, I'm just
very
trying
lucky
to
in
truck
that
along.
respect, because I've got like, I'm going to be honest with you. We're recording this, for people that don't know, we're recording this the day after the Oscars and the Will Smith
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Yes.
So that's the timeline for people, but this won't go up till like July, because I've had so many yeses at the moment.
You are Mr. Popular in that sense, and I envy you. For me, like, I have ideas, so I have my list, of video ideas, but then creating that content for me will take so much time, because I'm doing research and it's not easy. There's a great interview with Kick Out. I don't know if you know that podcast. And they interviewed Matt Charlton, Shining Wizard Designs. And he talked about, like, when it comes to research, like, it's especially with Japanese wrestling, it's really hard because you have Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is always wrong. And I don't know Japanese. So I've had to, like, really figure out, like, how do I find this information? And it takes me a while, which is also why I try to reach out to people that might help me as well. And it's a lot of work. I was prepared, but not.
I feel very lucky, because literally I sit down at my laptop and I'm like, okay, when did you start this? And then this is where we go along. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always feel like I don't put any work in my videos, or people might think I don't put any work in. But
no, like, you do, absolutely.
But it's like, the stuff that people don't see is the work. Like,
exactly,
the editing, because, and I keep talking about myself. I do apologize.
It's okay.
Like,
we're relating. That's what it's like. I'm like, we're having a convo here. It's okay.
Exactly, yeah. So, like, the thing that people don't understand is, like, for every yes that I get for an interview, I would have had maybe, out of every 4 people I ask, I'll get 3 no's. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So that one person will say yes. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm not going to lie.
It's like me. I just keep going, and then I go, wait, what was I talking about?
Where was I going with that?
But no, it is a lot of work. And even, like, if you're being an interviewer, there's still prep that goes behind that. And, I always worry, with the world of YouTube as well, you got to keep going. You got to be consistent. That's what everybody says. You got to make content weekly. But there's been a conversation on YouTube about quality over quantity.
I truly believe in quantity. Other way around. Quality over quantity.
That would be something you're like, wait.
I'm like, wait, what? No,
yeah.
That's not.
But yeah, I started to go that route as well. And some of my favorite YouTubers have been expressing that more and more, which, helps ease my anxiety.
Yeah, definitely.
But then again, you see what other people are doing, and it's like, oh, no, there we go again.
I think the thing that us smaller YouTubers have to remember is the bigger ones like Cultaholic, What Culture, and Wrestle Talk. No disrespect to those guys, by the way, because they do amazing work. But, like, they have editors behind them. They
Mhm.
have researchers.
They've
People
reached
like
that point. Yeah.
people like you and me, like we do, and this isn't a brag. This is more of a. It's gonna sound like a brag, and it's really not supposed to. But
It's
like
YouTuber solidarity
we
because,
do 90% of the work ourselves, right?
yeah, they're one of my the YouTubers that I watch. Gosh, I can't remember who it is. Nothing to do with wrestling because my like interests are all over the place. But I know it is. It's a channel called The Financial Diet, which like if you have struggles with your finances, go follow them. They're amazing.
Oh,
Like they're a whole company, but she built that by herself. And she said, like, creating a YouTube channel is a full-time job. There's so much work because she talked about how she did everything by herself before she was able to grow that channel into a place where she could take on a team and alleviate the pressures of being the person who, you know, does the research, writes the scripts, then films, and then edits. It's a lot.
do you think because like our channels have grown a lot slower, do you think there's some sort of satisfaction, more satisfaction if say like they're bigger channels that maybe had a following beforehand
Mhm.
that have grown quicker? Do you think there's something more satisfying in your channel growing slower?
It's
It's a vicious
honestly,
cycle.
it is. Compared to my original YouTube channel, the growth on this wrestling channel, Karen Watches Wrestling, is astronomical.
Yeah.
That's how bad the original channel is when it came to growth.
Really?
Like, because there was this period of 2015 and 2016 when things started changing. And I met some great people on YouTube. Like, we were all creators and we all struggled with the same thing. Our channels would not grow, but then the people before us grew and the people after us grew. And I was like, what's going on? So me now seeing the difference, like where I'm like at 2,000 subscribers, it took me a year to reach 1,000 subscribers on my original channel. 4 years.
Really?
Yeah, 4 years. I think it's something to do with YouTube. I think it's easier to grow a channel right now, like where we're at right now, but there are still a lot of factors that we will never know about. Everybody talks about the algorithm. We don't know what that is.
I don't know how to please the algorithm.
Exactly. Just give up. That's what I've learned.
I just learned that at the minute I'm in the place where it's like, make the content that I enjoy.
Yeah. But I do think I'm very lucky because I had that first YouTube channel was very much a learning curve for me because I went through every cycle, all of the emotions that a person would go through with the channel, especially for the first time, like the highs, but also the extreme lows. We're like, oh, great, people love my content. Oh, nobody's watching. Oh, like all these things are happening. Yeah. Why am I getting these awful comments? So with this wrestling channel, I was able to learn from my mistakes and from my experiences to put my focus with the audience. So there may be moments where, like, I was saying this to a friend because Speedball Mike Bailey commented on my DDT guide video, and I was shocked because literally hours before I was talking to a friend and said, I really feel like I'm that person that people in the wrestling business are just not going to pay attention to.
By the way, if you guys haven't seen that DDT video, go check that out. I was watching it for research purposes today. I very much enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Somebody said, I wish you had talked about the shows. And I had to say, that's why it's a basic guide.
I'm sorry, what?
Everybody has their comments. It's okay. But the cool thing is that I learned to focus on my audience. And when I created this channel, I really wanted to focus on the audience because I finally understood and learned through the previous YouTube channel that your audience is everything. Mm-hmm. Respect them, appreciate them. So I created my content around the commenters helping me learn more about these promotions and about these wrestlers. Now, again, you're still going to get your negative critiques and criticisms, harsh comments and all that. But otherwise, people are great. There's a few. Shout out to James Harris, who's always like, you need to watch this. This is what was going on at this time. Like, he's so knowledgeable. And there are so many people like that. And that's what has helped me to just focus on those people. And then everything else amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What is your ultimate goal now with Karen Watches Wrestling?
Since I was 5 years old, since I started watching wrestling, I've always wanted to work in wrestling, but I have been a very shy, insecure kid into an adult. I was never good at making friends. There was many periods in my life where I didn't have any friends. And thanks to an old high school classmate who became a psychologist, she told me, yeah, you're socially behind everybody else.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense. So much makes sense now. So I went through life like trying to figure things out on my own. Like I applied to WWE so many times. It's ridiculous.
What did you want to do out of curiosity?
Anything, but mostly in production. Like because of my theater experience, even though like my desire was to perform, like I wanted to be Miss Elizabeth when I was 5 years old. I wanted to be that position. And it got to a point where I was like, they're not gonna take me because, you know, hey, fat girl here, that's not the look that they're looking for. And I wasn't athletic. I had danced, but I didn't have a dancer body. I was still, you know, the fat person in my dance classes. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll do like behind the scenes stuff, because being in theater, I see those people and I know what they do. So I'll do like production, like the stage magic type of thing, anything. I will apply to anything. And I did. And God, I feel like I applied like for 10, 15 years. Like I started young and I've only had one response from them.
Oh, wow.
Which was before the pandemic. And it was about a content creator position, but more so somebody who creates the content for them, not the person on screen, which like fit in for me because of YouTube. And they ghosted me.
Really? By the way, do you need to get that?
Oh no, it's spam.
Oh, cool.
Our phone rings nonstop. It's just spam. So
yeah, fair enough.
And my mother's here, so she'll answer it if it's actually somebody.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, that was harsh. But it was also a reminder to me where I went, yeah, like you don't really, you know, you're not really feeling WWE anyway. So it's no loss. It was a bruise to the ego.
You stopped because it was like, they ghosted me. I don't want to.
No. It was already happened before then, but because I had this interest in wrestling and I didn't know how to get into it, my assumption was WWE. I didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
So I kept going back to them, even though I knew deep down inside, I went, I don't really want to work here, but I want to get in wrestling. I mean, I went to wrestling school. I even did that. I was like, oh yeah, I could do wrestling. But then the school that I went to just wasn't the right atmosphere. And the way that they were teaching was very uncomfortable to me. And like I had my first day, they decided, well, you know, whatever, we're just going to learn bumps, but you learn by the students.
Oh no.
Yes. And that wasn't good because everybody's at a different level. I injured my head and I've already suffered concussions through my life. And that scared me. And I was like, I'm out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which sucked. But, you know, I still have those thoughts of what if I could have just found another place? I just wanted to get in wrestling in some way. I was like, if I couldn't be a wrestler, I didn't have the confidence to do it, but I still tried. But I always thought, like, what if I could be like Renee Young, like one of those commentators, something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So I would take classes. They have these TV host classes in New York. Like they have acting classes.
Yeah.
They have classes for on camera. So I would do a couple of those. You know, I learned how to, you know, talk into a camera because of YouTube. And I still didn't know what to do. So I was like, how this idea came up. Let's just see if maybe one day that could create something for me down the line, but that doesn't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
But it would be really cool. This is a really long explanation, but to get to the point, one day it would be really cool if what I do could lead to something where, hey, dream comes true, where I'm finally working in wrestling, but technically I already am.
How do I?
Because I created my own content.
Like, Would you be happy if, say, you were working for your local indie, or does it have to be a big promotion?
I don't know the answer to that, but I don't really have anything too local. If you want to talk about local, it's ROH, I guess, but no, they're technically in Baltimore now, so I guess not.
Okay.
But I guess there's always going to be the performer in me because I started out dancing, acting, performing. So there's always going to be that side of me that would love to do it. I don't know in what way, but if I'm looking at, hey, if I want to be like Renee Young, that's on camera, that's TV. So that would be cool. But I guess I'm keeping my expectations low. There are dreams and aspirations that have been in my mind for years. I don't know how to reach them. So all I can do is continue doing what I'm doing because I still created something. Yeah. If it becomes bigger, that will be amazing. And I will also be overwhelmed probably. But I guess I gave up trying to figure out how to achieve the dream of being in wrestling that I had when I was 5 years old, because like my original YouTube channel, I was all over the place. I just wanted to be part of it in some way. Well, all right, I'm doing this. So I made it happen on my own.
I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, so as we wrap this up, because I do really want to be respectful of your time, we're going to go into a segment that I call generic questions. Those of you that would have seen my videos before will know this is where I ask my guests questions that I'm sure they get asked on Twitter on a daily basis, like their favorite match, their favorite pay-per-view, etc. But now they'll have a place to be like, okay, I've answered this, go watch this. And to be completely cheeky and honest, guys, it might get me extra views, so everyone's happy. So if we start with
answering these.
Really?
I'm so bad at answering questions. Yes. You're going to be like, I'm going to have to edit out Karen thinking for 20 minutes.
So favorite match of all time?
Favorite match of all time? See, like that's impossible for me. That's so hard, but I'm going to have to, honestly, I'm going to go, my heart, the first thing that goes into my mind is Naito versus Okada, Wrestle Kingdom, was it 14? When he won the belt from Okada.
Yeah.
When he finally won. Yeah.
I think that was 15, but
15,
I could be wrong.
Everything blends together.
Yeah.
Damn you, pandemic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very special one. And even though, I joined the Naito train late in his career because everything with El Ingobernable started 2015, I was able to catch up and follow along on that journey. And he's one of those wrestlers that I can relate to very, very easily. So it was an emotional one. I was so happy for Naito fans. And yeah, that was a really special one.
Favorite pay-per-view of all time?
Favorite pay-per-view of all time? Oh my gosh. I don't even know if I could ever say that I had a favorite pay-per-view.
Should we move on?
I mean, I guess at WrestleMania, I know that's probably a cliche answer, but like if I think back to anything else, I was like, there's not really anything too significant. Like I enjoyed Survivor Series, but then that changed.
No. So, like favorite overall pay-per-view of all time. Oh. Like WrestleMania X7, for example, or
no, I have no answer to that.
Fair enough.
I couldn't specify it, honestly.
Fair enough. Favorite superstar.
Big fan. Well, my favorite WWE superstar of all time?
Or favorite wrestler of all time, that should be really.
Favorite wrestler of all time? Oh man. You know what? It's got to be Sting. If I'm going to be honest, it's got to be Sting. It's Sting. Yeah. If I had to pick, like, I was going back and forth. I was like, would I pick Steamboat or Sting? And I think I would actually go with Sting. But we'll say Steamboat is a close second.
Favorite superstar or favorite wrestler currently?
Favorite wrestler currently. It's a tie. I am that person.
Okay.
Shuri from Stardom and Miyu Yamashita from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Yeah.
Have
Love
you
them.
seen those two in a match together?
I've not seen those two in a match together. That's my dream. If that exists, please
I
point me
haven't.
to it.
I haven't, but I was just genuinely curious to see if you have.
No, I don't think that's ever happened. I mean, Shuri was in, other promotions before Stardom, but Miyu was like Tokyo Joshi Pro day one. So, that's a dream match for me to see those two kick each other. So let's make that happen.
That would have led me to my next question, which is dream match that has never happened or may never happen.
Definitely, I think, because I'm pretty sure it's never happened. So Shuri versus Miyu, but also, oh man, what would I want to see happen? Let me think about this. Katsuhiko Nakajima versus Naito 101.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Favorite, and then we'll end on this one. Favorite theme song of all time.
Wait, what's that?
Favorite like entrance music of all time.
Oh my God. Oh, there are so many bops. Don't do this to me.
I'm so sorry.
There are so many bops out there. I'm like, whatever I choose, I'm going to regret it.
You're gonna
It's not
message
right.
me in like an hour and be like, I should
Yeah.
have said this.
Yes. Because I'm just going to be like, oh no, this is wrong. I feel like I can't say of all time. Oh man. Oh man. Oh, you know what? Oh,
Oh, no.
pressure.
Sorry,
I'm gonna do it.
headphones.
I'm gonna do it. If I'm gonna say favorite of all time, like I wore that WWE CD out. Triple H. It's all about the game and how
Fair
you play it.
Or
Yeah.
it's all about the game and how you game it, in the words of Lemmy. You know what one I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah.
Rest in peace to him. But yeah.
Yes, definitely. But if people that are watching haven't seen Lemmy sing Triple H to the ring, is it X7?
Maybe. I'm not that type of expert. I'm not an expert.
I think it's X7, but literally he says game so many times because he's either drunk or doesn't know the lyrics to his own song. Like,
Who knew? I don't know if that was that right. No, maybe it was a few years before he passed. But yeah, it's one of those moments. But it's also like relatable.
Oh, definitely.
My memory, like my brain goes there. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm just repeating words now.
So this has been great, by the way. So
Yes.
before we end on the question that I end all my videos on, I want to give you the floor, Karen. Plug away. Like, where can people find you? Where can they find your content, etc.?
Well, thank you very much. I really had a great time. So thank you, Tom. You can find me at Karen Watches Wrestling on YouTube or on Twitter at Karenesque, KRENESQUE. Maybe I should have some, coherency with my social media, but we'll get there one day.
Yeah.
You can see me fangirling about wrestling promotions on Twitter for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then the question that I end all my interviews on is, with YouTube, with podcasting, with social media in general, we're all sort of going to live forever in some sort of way. So what is one video that you're like, don't go back and watch that, I've grown a lot since then? And then what is one that you're like, if you guys want to know my body of work, make sure you check that out?
I'm going to have to cheat and I'm going to have to look.
Okay.
It's definitely something in the beginning that would say, oh, don't look at this. There's probably one where I felt really uncomfortable doing. Oh man. It was definitely, I would say, oh, this is so much pressure. Maybe not. I guess the very first one, the Choco Pro, just because I've grown so much from that.
Yeah.
Because I really do take pride in everything that I've created, even if people criticize what I do. and say, you said that wrong. That's the wrong fact. I get that a lot. And
Really?
Well, yeah, because the internet can be wrong. So
yeah,
I go
believe it or not.
Yeah, so I tried to like find at least 2 sources for information, but sometimes things slip by. Like my video on Shoko Nakajima, I have a wrong picture. I found it tagged as her, but people pointed it out. Thankfully, they were nice about it. And I was like, but I was upset because I was like, oh, I messed up. So I was upset about that. But I would say my first Choco Pro video, because it's the very first and things have changed so much. I didn't know what I was doing. But in terms of like, what am I most proud of when it comes to the body of work that I have created? My history of Japanese pro wrestling video, for sure.
Oh,
And
so
that's my legacy.
there'll be links to both of them videos in the
see how I started and see how I've evolved.
Sorry, I have to do that because I have to balance out World Cup.
It's okay. I think that's actually a good spectrum right there. You see how I started.
Yeah.
And then the Japanese pro wrestling video is like completely different.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good showcase, the bad versus the improvement.
Yeah. So again, as we wrap this up, I want to say thank you to Karen for coming on. Follow her in all the places she mentioned. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Tom Talks Rubbish. Subscribe to this channel, Tom Talks Rubbish, on YouTube. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Bye.